Hello, kids. Welcome in. One and all, it's just after high noon. My name is Matt Murphy, and this happens to be the Matt Murphy Radio Show, conveniently enough. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're high and dry. Hope you're getting on the high ground at least, because more rain is on the way today in waves. Tomorrow, they keep telling us now, maybe it's just me. Has anyone else experienced this where everyone on the weather forecast and every meteorologist in town, whether it's breezy or windy or whatever their names are, I mean, they're telling us that all of this weather's coming and it's going to be downpours and it will be localized flooding, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm over there in MJ, Mount Juliet, my adopted hometown, on the south side. Dan Mandis is on the north side. He handles the north side. I handle the south side. Never the two. That's right. Never the two shall meet. And we're getting nothing. A bunch of nothing. A bunch of nothing. I mean, a bunch of clouds and a bunch of moisture, but no rainfall to speak of. And I'm wondering, when the hell is this happening? And then they canceled the yard sale. The city was going to have a yard sale, and they canceled it. And I got all of this stuff in the garage and nowhere to go with it. Anybody want to buy my stuff? It's available for you, for sale, for purchase or giveaway over the weekend. Anyway, 8 minutes after the hour, we'll discuss perhaps that amongst other things on this First Amendment Freestyle Friday edition of the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Pleased and proud that you've decided to spend some time with us, whatever time you give us, whether it's 5 minutes of the full 3 hours. We thank you for that. We'll hand off to Brian Wilson at 3 o'clock. You know, it's live and local conversation from early in the morning, way before I get up in the morning, at 5 a.m. with Dan Mandis and Nashville's Morning News. And then there's Chris Hand, who just left. Matt Murphy starts the afternoons, and then Brian Wilson finishes those afternoons with the drive on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. And by the way, for those of you asking, and several of you have, I don't have an update on Mark Levin, except to say that he fell over the weekend. Mark Levin, of course, heard right after Wilson on this radio station, Super Talk 99.7 WTN, and all over the country, the great one. We don't know how Mark is doing, except to say that he had to have surgery on his quadricep, and I am told that he's okay and that he'll be back ASAP. So I don't know if he was even there last night, but that's what I was told. So take that for what it's worth. It is Locks for Trump Day 195. For 195 full days, I've been growing out my hair in advance of a new president-elect. I did this when Joe Biden was still in the race, and there was a possibility to have to grow this thing for the next 4 years. That's not happening, as we'll have a new president-elect come November 6th, or whenever they figure out who won the election. Whenever they steal it! You heard me. It is also day 651 of our visits together on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. More on that in a moment. We've lots to get into. I know that I failed you yesterday, and I want to start here. I'm sorry. I apologize. This news, this big breaking news, happened before the show yesterday, and I never made a mention of it. And that big breaking news was Joe Biden in a Trump hat. And I didn't mention it. And for that, I am sincerely sorry. Yes, Joe Biden's out campaigning and decided to, on September 11th, put on a Trump hat as some sort of odd sign of unity, which led to many questions and conspiracy theories as to whether or not, yes, we all live in this fantasy world, and I would love to wallow in it for a moment, where the conspiracy theory was, for those who don't know, Joe Biden was out commemorating 9/11. I think this happened in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, where he put on a Donald Trump hat. There was a hat on a table. He put it on top of his other cap as a sign of unity or something or another. And it was a very odd look for Joe Biden to be wearing a Trump 2024 cap, and he was all smiles as he did it. Well, and there was some speculation that perhaps Joe Biden, in the ultimate comeuppance, because it's not even a suggestion, the conventional wisdom is that Joe Biden got pushed out. He did not want to leave. Dr. Jill wanted him to stay, but he was basically told, look, we can either do this the easy way, you decide to step down, or the hard way, which would involve the 25th Amendment, invoking said same, and pushing you out. This coming from Nancy Pelosi, Barack Obama, amongst others, on behalf of Kamala Harris, who was coopted into the coup. It was a coup d'etat against Joe Biden. And the suggestion was the other day, when Joe donned the Trump hat, that maybe Joe was considering endorsing Trump for the election. which is funny, and it sounds all funny, and it's ha funny, but it's not as if it's going to happen. Now, would I love I'm a chaos man through and through, guys. You ask me what my political association is, it's with the Chaos Party. I'm not a Republican. I'm not even a libertarian with a large L. I am a chaos man. I want to watch people watch the world burn. I don't necessarily want to watch the world burn, but watching people watch the world burn, that's a different thing. But yes, I would love it, but it ain't happening anytime soon. Now, there's been some discussion about the regularity that we have seen individuals from other countries who come into the United States of America and do so in an organized fashion. Let me see if I can put this in a diplomatic way. There have been questions over the last 48 to 72 hours about how much of the news we can believe with regard to some of the communities that we have seen descend into that same level of chaos because of the illegal immigration that is in front of them. Whether it be in Aurora, Colorado, or in Springfield, Ohio, or other parts of the United States of America. And I have a take on it, and this is where I want to start this show today on this First Amendment Freestyle Friday. But before I do, allow me to inundate you with the pleasantries. I mentioned that it's Locks for Trump Day 195. It's our episode 651. You can find us on 99.7 FM. That's on your radio dial from Southern Kentucky to Northern Alabama and all points in between. You can also find us on any place you stream music or information or any noise whatsoever. If it comes out of your cell phone into your AirPods, if it comes out of your laptop computer, then you can type in Supertalk 99.7 WTN and take us where you go. We would invite you to download our own app and do so in that fashion. You can also find us on Supertalk TV, where we are up and running on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. Thank you to US Pest for bringing us Supertalk TV. For you masochists in the listening audience that want to understand why I'm on radio, just find us over there on Supertalk TV, and there we are. Episode 651. I'm there. Ken Weaver is there on occasion. Bell K's never there because he chooses not to go on television because of the felony warrants.
Correct.
We call him Headless Bell, but he does entitle the episodes. And while you tell everyone the title of the episode, Bell, if you're watching on Supertalk TV, you're going to watch me leave camera as I turn down these hot lights in the studio because I get too hot. And if I get hot, I get grumpy. And if I get grumpy, the show turns in a way that you don't want it to turn. Not on a Friday, maybe on a Tuesday.
First Amendment Freestyle Friday.
I know. So
got to keep it light.
Episode 651 is entitled
Matt Murphy Show, Friday the 13th. If this was December, it would be Taylor Swift's birthday. Libertarian lunch, noon to 3. You need to calm down.
So she was born on the 13th, I assume?
Yes, that's her lucky number.
December 13th?
Correct. 1989.
That's my lucky number. I wore number 13 as a baseball player back in the day.
Seriously?
Yeah. Number 13. I've always gravitated toward the number 13. Because I'm a contrarian.
There's another thing you got in common with her. You two are like two peas in a pod.
I mean, let's list all of the things Matt and Taylor Swift have in common. Number 1, we both like the number 13.
Number 2, you both love Kamala.
For different reasons, baby. It is Friday. It's Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
You a superstitious man?
Not even a little bit.
Not at all?
I own a black cat.
That's true. That you're allergic to, we're slowly establishing.
Apparently, yes.
Mm-hmm. Is Weaver back there in the newsroom? I can't see.
He is.
Uh-huh.
I'm here, boys. I'm just busier than a one-legged man in a donut eating contest.
I don't even know what the hell that means.
I don't either, but it's funny.
Well, it's hard to get to the donuts with just one leg.
Well, it's true. You're going to be late. You're not going to get one with all them sprinkles on it. Those will be gone by the time you hobble in there.
Yes, sir.
By the way, speaking of donuts, did you see?
What's that?
There's donuts in the break room.
Yeah, it didn't last long. I was in there whenever these two ladies brought them in. Two big old boxes. Went back in there 15 minutes later, get a cup of coffee. There was only 2 donuts left in one box.
Well, somebody from KDF took one of the boxes into their studio.
Oh, did they now?
Oh, well, who was that?
I guess it was Amy Page.
Let's call them out, man.
Well,
Amy wouldn't do that to us.
Well, she printed the reason I know this is because I went to get something off the printer, and there was a sign that she had printed saying, "I have the donuts in the KDF control room."
Oh, did she?
Huh.
Now?
Well, you know what? We should get her in here and call her out.
I'm for it.
Let's go.
Yeah, let's call her onto the carpet.
Oh, let's do it, Ken Weaver. I love the way Ken Weaver thinks. Let's call her, or however you weigh what. Let's take her to task. Weaver, I saw your hat. We're going to take her to task over this donut. Amy, we got a donut situation we need to talk to you about.
Let's give her what
We
for.
have a donut situation that you created.
Let's give her what for. Let's hand her the business.
Let's give her what and for.
Oh, yeah, we're not giving her an or. We're giving her both.
Oh, my.
Let's dress her down. Should we?
What are some...
I don't know I wish I could think of more.
I know, because they're out there.
No, there's plenty of them.
My favorite is giving them the what for.
Giving them the what, man, oh, man. If I had an inkling that my grandma was going to give me the what for, I'd stay out in the woods.
I knew I was going to get the what for whenever I heard the belt jingling down the hall.
Oh, Lord.
I knew I was going to get the what for.
Oh, you don't want that. You don't want that level of what for.
And I deserved it.
They gave you the business end of the belt, didn't they?
Yes.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Weaver, I noticed, speaking of business, who you playing this weekend? I noticed that cap you happen
We
to have
are
on.
playing the Tulane Green Wave, Brother Murphy, and they can win this game. If we cannot, if we are, here's the thing. We are going to have to score more than 14 points to win this game. I think our defense can handle their offense, but we're going to have to score more than 14 points. And the way our offense is behaving here lately, we're probably going to have our defense run back like some errant field goal attempt, maybe blocked punt, or another safety, or a pick six. I'll take a pick six.
Yes, I love you, Ken Weaver, for a lot of reasons. But one of the reasons I love you is that you and I are fans of our respective football teams in exactly the same way. Because my beloved Georgia Bulldogs, as good as they've done over the last several years, I am a moment away from believing that there's about to be total disaster. Total disaster.
And I don't understand that with your team, dude. I mean, you boys are, come on. What? You've lost like one game in 4 years?
Well, yeah, it's only 3, but I get it. I mean, no, hold on. We've lost 2 games in 3 years.
Yeah, 2 games in 3 years.
Yeah, let's not get crazy. I'm looking at my, hold on a second. I have my picks. I lost that Miami Buffalo game last night. Now, I don't do much gambling, but I'll dabble in this little office pool that we've got going on for me and my buds.
Right.
And I intentionally I select I've got Oklahoma minus 13.5, Ken. That's a good bet, right?
Dude, our offense is I'm telling you, man, we managed 14 points against a hapless Houston Cougars team.
Yeah, but when you meet the Cougars, you throw those record books out of the window.
We are 6 for 26 on third downs.
6 for 26?
Yes.
You know, I've never coached college football, and I've never played the game myself, but I don't think that's very good, Ken.
It's not good at all.
Oh, okay.
Against Temple, we were having to go for it on fourth down. Against Temple.
I am...
I'm about to put... I tell you what. I'm about to get a whistle, put on my gray 80s coach shorts, pull my socks with red stripes up to my knees, and I'm going to go down there and make them do gassers.
Get you. Let's go, boys.
Who is this guy? Never you mind. I'm giving you the what for.
Is this guy a part of the coaching staff? How did he get in here? There's Ken running up and down the field screaming at him.
I'm pulling the Dennis Hopper in the Hoosiers.
Boys. Get on it, boys. Well, I got your team minus the 13.5, Ken. Don't you worry.
Well,
good to see you back there in the newsroom.
They're all talking about, well, we got Tennessee in a couple of weeks. You better worry about Tulane.
Y'all are going to whoop Tulane by 21 points. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I hope
21
so.
points. Of course, I picked Miami last night, so what do I know?
How about that hit? I mean,
everybody's
saying that the Bills hit Tua. Tua hit the Bill.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, football's a rough sport and always has been.
And it wasn't a dirty play. It's just,
no.
I tell you what, man, I'm tired of seeing him injured like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but if you're Tua Tagovailoa, I think I'm saying that correctly? Tagovailoa. I mean, if you're Tua, what do you do? I mean,
dude, I kind of agree with some of these former NFL
are they saying he should hang him up?
Saying, man, you've got 3 bad concussions
in 2 years.
In 2 years, you need to think about things.
Well, if you're predisposed to them, they say that you are predisposed to them, right? Yeah. And you could get them. I don't know. That's a tough call.
It is.
You got to think of your health. You got to think of long term. There's a lot of life after football, man.
Yes, sir.
A lot of life after football.
Yes, sir.
All right, 23 after the hour. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Ken Weaver's in the newsroom. He's gathering headlines. Bell K's behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speaker sounds as good as possible, even if I screw up the line. And we're giving you the business until 3 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. Jeff Eddy is the man with the plan. And here's the plan moving into the fall. The plan is to make sure that heater is running as it should, to make sure that it's going to be running as it should when you need it the most. And I understand that you're probably not even thinking about your heater right now because the conditions are still in the mid-70s. We're getting to about 80 degrees today. But before you know it, you're going to have that chill in the air and you're going to want to pop that heat on. And if you've not gotten a maintenance call with Efficient Heating and Cooling, if Jeff Eddy's not come to your home or one of his qualified techs and cleaned off those coils and made sure everything's working as it should, one, the heater might not come on. I mean, that is a reality. Number 2, when it does, you're going to smell that smell. You don't want to smell that smell. That dust or that dander get into the air. If you smell it, you're breathing it. And if you're breathing it, you don't know what you're breathing. Let's get it cleaned. Let's get it maintained with Jeff Eddy and Efficient Heating and Cooling. A maintenance call never charges. He never charges residents over $125 for a maintenance call, no matter how many units you might have on your property. And it's oftentimes much less than that. Efficient Heating and Cooling online at efficienthvac.net. That's efficienthvac.net or 615-784-4424. 784-4424 for our friends at Efficient.
One of TBI's most wanted fugitives may have been spotted in Williamson County. We've got that for you and more at 12:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
And that's coming up in a mere 2 minutes or so on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 3866, God bless you. That's so nice. I could listen to Matt and Ken talk sports all day. How about that on Friday, since we don't have the Friday draft anymore? Well, you know what? Ken and I'm preparing something for football season. I don't even know if Weaver knows much about it, but I'm figuring out, I think we need like a Weaver minute or 2 or 8 or 10 where we break down. We break down some of that. We'll figure it out. I know we're not a sports station. We don't pretend to be. We got other things to talk about.
Yes.
But let me tell you, I'm going. Is it raining on me? Here's the question. Weather forecast time. Is it raining on me Sunday afternoon? I mean, right? They keep telling me that it's going to be a downpour in Mount Juliet. I haven't seen a drop yet.
Going to be waves of rain.
Yeah. Where's my waves? I don't get waves. I haven't gotten a wave. Have you gotten a wave, Bill?
I got no Kraken either.
I mean, right?
I was promised a Kraken. I got no Kraken.
Is that a Clash of the Titans reference?
No, that's a reference to you talking about Giuliani's. That just kills me.
Oh, yeah. Release the Kraken. But see, the release.
I was promised a Kraken. I got no Kraken.
That's true. I didn't get a Kraken. We didn't get a Kraken, did we?
I mean, they had waves of rain over in Memphis. You know,
we didn't get any waves of rain.
We didn't get waves of rain here.
I just don't know that what we are experiencing merits shutting down the citywide yard sale at Charlie Daniels Park in Mount Juliet tomorrow.
I'm telling you, that's going to be a shame if that happens and it doesn't rain.
I know.
That will be an absolute shame.
Because I've got a lot of great junk that you guys could have bought. I would sign every bit of it.
And it's for a great cause.
I mean, yeah, my wallet. Exactly. Recoup some of this cash. I mean, come on. All right, so one way or the other, we'll get to the weather forecast on Sunday at some point over the course of the day. If you're going out to the Titans game, expect rain, waves of rain, big-time rain coming in. Now, expect this when we return after the news. There is a possibility of an ABC whistleblower. Sounds too good to be true for me. Sounds too good to be true, but I'm willing to entertain it because I wouldn't put anything past these people. Nothing. We'll discuss and dissect. And I'll also give you my take on where we are on the whole cat eating deal with the Haitians, because I do believe that we're focusing on the symptom and maybe not the disease. Is this a symptom of the disease? Of course it is. However much it is happening, it is most certainly a symptom of a broader disease that is infecting our entire body, that is the United States of America, and will kill us if we allow it. It is 12:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and we're going to tell you what's in store from Francine coming up in the full forecast in 5 minutes. Right now, we've got an update on an armed and dangerous man wanted for criminal homicide out of Murray County. Tennessee Bureau of Investigation says he may have been spotted in Williamson County. We're talking about Michael Van Dobbs, possibly spotted near the Garrison Creek trailhead. He was wearing a maroon long-sleeve shirt, black shorts, and slides. The TBI added that he walks with a distinct limp. Dobbs is suspected of killing Harold Grisham on September 4th in Murray County. The TBI put him on the most wanted list on Monday. There is a $2,500 reward offer for information leading to arrest. Dobbs is 6 foot tall, weighs 240 pounds. He's got blue eyes and blonde hair. Justin Timberlake today pleading guilty to a traffic infraction, driving while ability impaired, to help resolve a drunk driving case in Sag Harbor, New York, where he was stopped in June for running a stop sign and failing to stay in his lane. Here's Timberlake speaking after his appearance there in court.
I found myself in a position where I could have made a different decision.
The judge ordered Timberlake to pay a fine, perform community service. He also agreed to appear in a public service announcement about the dangers of drunk driving. And Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel spoke to the media this morning after quarterback Tua Tagovailoa left last night's game against the Bills with a concussion. He said it wouldn't make any assumptions about a possible timeline for Tagovailoa's return, but he would take it day by day.
Tua, hey, your job is to be a dad and to communicate daily, and we'll have daily assessments with experts in the field and handle that. And that is the only thing that matters.
You've got several former NFL players who are urging Tagovailoa to retire because he's had 3 concussions in his NFL career. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Waves of rain. I mean, the man's not here to defend himself, but I'm hearing him. And I haven't gotten a drop over in Mount Juliet as of yet. But enough about that for a moment. Let me talk to you about Kraft Body Scan. Better things are ahead for you if you schedule an appointment with Kraft Body Scan, or at least a more peace of mind and a better night's sleep. Kraft Body Scan offers that and so much more. At Kraft Body Scan, since their inception in 2017, and they came to Nashville, Tennessee a little over a year ago, they're all about your health. They're all about helping you understand what's going on inside of your body, and doing so through CT scan technology that's available to us that can look inside of your body. It's a non-invasive way to check out what's going on and to find out if there's anything going on that might be negative down the road. You know that Kraft Body Scan and the CT scan technology can see it before you feel it. That's an incredible comfort to know that you can find out if everything's A-okay with your heart and your lungs, and it does not cost you an arm and a leg. As a matter of fact, it only is $149 for both you and your loved one, your significant other, your husband, your wife. How about that? $149 for both of you to head over to Kraft Body Scan and have a heart and lung scan today. Call and schedule an appointment. A private consultation will start you off. The scan itself takes about 5 to 8 minutes. That telephone number is 615-436-1000, 436-1000, or go to togetherwescan.com. That's togetherwescan.com for Kraft Body Scan. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Matt Murphy, joined by Ken Weaver over in the newsroom, Bell K behind the glass. You on the telephone, 615-737-9986. We'll be joined by Jay St. Clair coming up in the 1 o'clock hour. It is officially Friday, starting at about 1:05. Looking forward to that conversation. If you have any legal questions for our man, Jay St. Clair, just let me know. Thank you, Bell. Appreciate you. That was the cleaning guy that came in here and moved the camera. That wasn't Bell. That was the cleaning man. If anybody caught a vision.
His name's Leroy. He's worked here 10 years. Maybe you can learn his name.
I've only been here 3 years. I don't know. Leroy's never introduced himself to me. I've never heard the man
That is
speak.
untrue. I've seen the two of you standing out in the hall talking.
Have you now?
Yes.
Okay.
And you still can't remember his name. That's really nice.
I thought it was something else.
You and your elitism.
Mm-hmm. So let's we'll talk about the ABC whistleblower in a moment. Get your questions, by the way, if you have any legal questions for our man Jay St. Clair. We have a lot of fun on Fridays with Jay, but he can also answer any and all of your legal questions. So it's been a hell of a week, hasn't it? We had the debate. Every media outlet in America that I saw, absent maybe there are a few, wanted you to believe that Kamala Harris won the debate. Everyone has their opinion about who won, who lost. I think we're missing the point. Kamala Harris can't win a debate when it comes to ideas and ideologies affecting the United States of America because her ideas, her political opinions fail the American people. And while she might present herself better on camera than her boss, Joe Biden, Donald Trump dispatched of Joe Biden. Joe Biden did a lot of dispatching of himself, frankly, on June 27th. But be that as it may, the shift in attention to Kamala was obviously going to come with a certain level of benefit for Democrats because she can put a sentence together and put a period behind it. She can memorize lines and remember them when she gets on stage. But we had the debate this week. We had a lot of conversation about illegal immigration in the aftermath of the debate and the potential for cat eating going on in the U.S., and I want to weigh in on that. I really haven't gone all in on the stories, although we've reflected on them out of Springfield, Ohio. Difficult to say what is real and what is not. Difficult to say what we can believe and what we don't. I believe the people of Springfield, Ohio. I believe the people that are coming forward and talking about what they've seen in their city parks, what they've seen in their communities. But the hyper-focus on, and I'm not begrudging anybody talking about it because it's funny. I mean, it's absolutely hilarious, okay? The focus on the cat eating and Donald Trump with the cats under his arm. I mean, the memes draw themselves, the memes write themselves. But ultimately, we are focusing on symptoms rather than the disease. It is a symptom of the disease that we have individuals, groups of individuals in our major in our communities around Tennessee, in our communities around the United States of America, that do not understand, nor do they wish to understand, America's culture. No one is necessarily against bringing positive aspects of cultures from around the world to the United States of America. We are, after all, a great melting pot. But that is exactly what we are, a melting pot. You are expected to absorb yourself into the fabric of the United States of America. You bring your own flavor, whether you're from Germany or Brazil, whether you're from a Scandinavian country, whether you're from South Africa, whether you're from Asia, wherever you are from around the globe, when you come to America, and legally I would expect you to, you bring your own culture with you. And we've seen it since America's inception. But there is now an expectation that you comport with the basic cultural, the basic backbone of American society, which is is it too much to ask that we don't eat cats? Now, I don't know how much this is going on. I would suggest to you that it's probably going on less than many people believe it is. But to say that it's not going on at all is to ignore evidence right there in front of us. But a discussion on it is a discussion about a symptom of the disease. And the disease is the open and porous border that we all admit is causing a major issue in the United States of America. Even Democrats can't ignore it. Why do you think Kamala Harris uses Donald Trump's border wall in her campaign advertisements? The goalposts have shifted. Instead of ignoring that this is an issue, which is what they did for the first 2 years of their presidency, the Biden-Harris presidency, they ignored it. They said, we fixed it. They said, we solved it. On day one, they reversed the executive orders that made Donald Trump so strong on the issue of our southern border. So I'm not against talking about any aspects of the symptoms, whether it's cat eating or violence on our city streets or gang members getting into the United States of America. We discussed the Venezuelan gang that's literally coming out of prisons and coming into the United States, whether it's terrorism. Bad people are taking advantage of a southern border that is wide open to them, and they're coming into the country to do bad things. And some people are coming into the country and bringing with them their own culture and their own background, as odd as it may seem to us, with them. And they're bringing their own baggage in a lot of ways. I am not above the discussion, but I would remind you that any micro conversations about whether or not Haitians are eating cats, I think I'm not against it. Don't get me wrong. And I do think that these things need to be highlighted and illustrated, but it supports a broader point that we have individuals in our United States of America that ought not to be here. And the only reason they are here would be the current administration. Joe Biden, with a stroke of a pen, as Donald Trump said the other night during the presidential debate, Kamala Harris could walk into the Oval Office right now, wake Joe up, and get him to sign an executive order that would begin the process of shutting the flood of illegal activity at the southern border down, shutting all of these Haitian migrants down. And then we can assess what we need and what we don't need in terms of jobs in the United States of America. I don't want to hear from an employer that tells me that they have to have illegal labor because of job performance or because of construction work or because of lettuce picking. I don't want to hear it. The sovereignty of the United States of America depends on us stopping the flood of the illegal activity and then resetting and reassessing whether or not we need legal immigration into the United States of America. That is the ultimate conversation that we ought to be having. Now, I know that you and I have been having that conversation for a long time. The broader populace of the United States of America needs to be aware of the serious nature of what's going on. Now, here's the danger in the cat discussion. Is it a fact that there are Haitian migrants eating cats in Springfield, Ohio? I've seen evidence that would lead me to believe that something's going on there, but I don't know. I haven't been there. I don't know. But I know that liberals will use the ridiculous nature of the subject to attempt to poo-poo those of us who want to talk more broadly about illegal immigration. So if I bring up the issue of the southern border, they have to address that. If I bring up the issue of cat eating, they laugh and say, nobody's eating cats. Right? Am I right? So in a way, addressing the symptom as opposed to the disease gives those that are well aware of the disease that we are facing in this country, the disease of illegal immigration, the disease of an open southern border, by addressing the symptom, which would be Haitians eating cats, we give those responsible for the disease an opportunity to take a pass on the broader subject. Kamala Harris and her ilk act as if they wave off the cat eating issue and they can then wave off the entire issue of illegal immigration. Does that make sense to everyone? So there's a danger in bringing it up without having our facts in a row. At the same time, I've seen enough evidence that I'm willing to believe it. Here's what's not in dispute. Here's what's not in dispute, whether it's cat eating or voodoo rituals or whatever. What's not in dispute is that there are thousands of Haitian illegal immigrants in Springfield, Ohio. That should be the topic of conversation. And also, by the way, protect your pets. 7672 says, aren't the Haitians legally in Springfield, Ohio? Not to my knowledge. I don't know how you would get from Haiti to Springfield, Ohio legally right now. I'm willing to listen. $21.33 says, I think like Dan Mandis, you need to calm down. Come to the 5 agave, what? Get yourself a delicious margarita and even better, a picture of margarita. I'm just going to read this as it was written to me, okay? I'm going to read this as it was just written to me. 2133 writes, I think like Dan Mandis, you need to calm down, come to 5 Agave's Mexican restaurant in Hickory, Tennessee, and get yourself a delicious margarita, or even better, a picture of margarita. I don't even know margarita, much less I have a picture of her. Anyway, truth be told, my wife and I own this place. Oh, I promise we don't serve duck or cat at our restaurant. Only sirloin and chicken and fish and other crustaceans.
It's a right-handed invitation.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he said he did talk to text. I get you. Well, 2133, thank you. I'll come see you very, very soon. Ray writes in and says, asylum claims, says 4870. Feds bust them in, awarded with temporary protected status. That's the whole thing, man. It's not illegal anymore thanks to Biden. It is still illegal according to the law. What they do is they use loopholes within the law to claim this asylum status that ought not to be there and wasn't there under the previous administration. So I guess we're picking nits, or we're just looking at it from slightly different ways. I'm not going to pick that nit. I get what you're saying, that they would claim that these are legal individuals because they claimed asylum. I would suggest to you that they are using that loophole in order to come into the United States of America illegally, that they do not have any legitimate asylum claim to make. It is 12:51 on Super Talk 99.7. Mike is coming up. Wayne's coming up. Betty, you too. It's a First Amendment Freestyle Friday on Super Talk. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for Safe House in Nashville, Tennessee. Let's go buy Safe House together, shall we? 4th Avenue South, Nashville Safe House wants to see you. They have incredible safes at the Safe House, right? They've got as many safes as you can possibly imagine. As a matter of fact, I talk to Mark and pick on him often about the number of safes he keeps in stock. It's well over 500 with regularity, and sometimes he approaches 600 safes in total. I mean, of all shapes and sizes and of all brand names, because he wants to make sure that he has something in stock that you're looking for. So if you're in the market for a new safe, go to Nashville Safe House online at NashvilleSafeHouse.com or on the road on 4th Avenue South and see some of the selection. They've got Browning, they've got Fort Knox, Champion, Rhino, and the rest of the brands that you know and love. They have a price point for every budget and a size for every taste. Whatever you need, they've got it for you. They even have vault doors in there the size of this room, let me tell you. Right across the street from City Cemetery on 4th Avenue South. Go by and see them today. It's Nashville Safe House.
We will tell you where TBI says one of Tennessee's most wanted fugitives was just spotted, coming up at 1 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Mr. Ken Weaver. Looking forward to that at 1 o'clock this afternoon. I promised I'd get to Mike, who is either on a motorcycle or wants to talk about a motorcycle. Hello, Mike.
Hey, sir, how are you? Thanks for taking my call. I'm not on a motorcycle.
Well, it's glad to hear from you, Mike. What's on your mind?
Well, I heard the other day you was talking about riding, and I'm assuming you were talking about riding a motorcycle.
I was.
Well, we're having a benefit ride September the 21st for Tunnel to Towers and our local 4628 IFF Spring Hill Union, and I would like to invite you and the listeners out to join us.
Where are you guys cranking it up at?
The UAW Hall. It's at 125 Stephen P. Yokwich Parkway. Most people know where the Union Hall is. They're near Spring Hill.
Mm-hmm.
But it's $25 a bike. We're going to make about an hour ride, return back, and there should be some food trucks there to feed everyone, raising some money for some good causes.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you let everybody know about it. I am looking at my calendar. I don't think I can make the 21st work, but keep me in mind for the next one, Mike, and I'll be there, buddy. I love them. I love riding, and I love getting together with fellow riders and chewing the fat.
Well, thank you very much for letting me speak about it on your station. We listen all the time.
Well, I'm glad you do. Thank you, Mike, for the call, and thank you for the info about the ride. Wayne is next in Cookeville. Hey, Wayne.
Hey, every day there's a new poll out. Harris is ahead or Trump's ahead. I truly believe that the election is going to be decided by the silent majority, and they will put Trump in by a landslide. Because when you go to the store, you see people, you see them look at prices and stuff, and it just they roll their eyes. And these are the people who don't talk politics, but they'll go vote. I truly believe that. And if Trump could end his commercials by saying, are you better off 4 years ago than you were now? Or even reverse it and say, do you want to be better off 4 years from now than you are now? But anyway, I think the silent majority will decide the election. Thanks so much for taking my call.
Well, thank you for making the call, Wayne. I do appreciate it. I would like to believe that. I think it will be a relatively thin win for Donald Trump. I have a difficult time seeing Donald Trump losing in Pennsylvania. I have a difficult time seeing him lose in Georgia. I have less of a difficult time seeing him lose in Michigan because of the influence of union shops up there. Wisconsin, a different deal too. I think he wins in Arizona. I think he wins in Georgia. I think he wins in Pennsylvania, and I think that puts him over the top. North Carolina is kind of a toss-up. But that's where I'm at on the whole issue. It's 1 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Right now in Middle Tennessee, authorities say one of TBI's most wanted fugitives may have been spotted in Williamson County. Michael Van Dobbs, wanted for criminal homicide out of Murray County, possibly spotted near the Garrison Creek trailhead of Natchez Trace Trail. They say he was wearing a maroon long-sleeve shirt, black shorts, and slides. He's 6 foot tall, weighs 240 pounds, blue eyes, blonde hair, and they say he walks with a distinctive limp. Dobbs is suspected of killing Harold Grisham on September 4th in Murray County. The TBI added him to the most wanted list Monday. $2,500 reward being offered for information leading to his arrest. Right now in Georgia, Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis has defied a subpoena issued by Georgia state legislators who are looking into allegations of misconduct against her. Stephen Portnoy with more.
The Georgia Senate Special Investigative Committee is seeking testimony from Fonnie Willis as it probes the DA's relationship with attorney Nathan Wade and the trips they took while he was on her payroll. Republican State Senator Bill Cowsert chairs the investigative panel.
Let's please note for the record that Ms. Willis has failed to appear in compliance with the subpoena and has failed to produce the documents requested.
Willis's attorney has said she won't appear unless the courts rule the subpoena is valid. Both Willis and Wade have denied any wrongdoing.
Justin Timberlake today pleading guilty to a traffic infraction, driving while ability impaired, to help resolve a drunk driving case in Sag Harbor, New York, where he was stopped in June for running a stop sign and failing to stay in his lane. Here's Timberlake speaking after his appearance in Sag Harbor Village Court.
I'm hoping that whoever's watching and listening right now can learn from this mistake. I know that I certainly have.
The judge ordering Timberlake to pay a fine and perform community service. Timberlake also agreed to appear in a public service announcement about the dangers of drunk driving. And back here in Tennessee, an 11-year-old girl is battling what her family says doctors told them might be a rare virus from mosquitoes. Channel 4 says Bryn Lee Henderson of Sevierville starting showing symptoms while on vacation with her family in South Carolina, headaches, fevers, and extreme light sensitivity.
She said, "Mama, can I have your sunglasses because the headlights and the traffic lights are too bright?" She couldn't tell me that she was hungry. She said she was upset. And when her dad came, she said, "I was hungry. I just didn't know how to tell you all."
After Henderson woke up with a 103-degree fever, the family rushed her to the hospital. She spent nearly a week there. Doctors said they think she had what is called the lacrosse virus. She was struggling for several days with routine things like eating, drinking, and communicating clearly. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
I mean, we keep hearing about the rain, and if you have waterproofing issues in your home, then you worry about it, don't you? I want you to worry no longer and call USS. USS is United Structural Systems. If you have waterproofing issues, you probably know it, right? Because the signs present themselves, whether it's a moldy or musty smell that you have coming from your basement or your crawl space, and you've probably told yourself, oh, no, that's all good. Don't worry about it. It will go away. It won't go away. It's not going to go away on its own. And frankly, these things are just going to get worse. Musty odors mean that you have water or moisture in your home, and that's going to affect the wood inside of your home. Your house is trying to tell you something, friends. And so if you're worried about the rains over the weekend, that's going to exacerbate the situation that already exists in your basement or crawl space, it's time to call USS for all of your foundation repair needs, for all of your waterproofing needs or concrete leveling. There's only one that I would recommend, and that is USS, United Structural Systems. Over 25,000 residences have been satisfied over the last 30 years. That's an incredible amount of people in and around Middle Tennessee that have full 100% satisfaction from USS. So let's make the call that so many others have made to USS. Go online at USSTN.com or call 615-488-7855, 488-7855 for our friends at USS. It is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The Matt Murphy Radio Show is in progress on a First Amendment Freestyle Friday. Donald Trump is speaking to reporters right now. He's in California ahead of a campaign stop in Nevada. We'll jip some of that if necessary. That would be JIP, J-I-P, join in progress. In the meantime, the radio show is in progress, and you're welcome to join us on the phone lines at 615-737-9986. You're invited, 615-737-9986. Ken Weaver's in the background. He's in the newsroom gathering headlines, as always, and he joins in whenever breaking news happens. Bell K's behind the glass, making sure that everything that comes out of our speakers sounds as good as humanly possible. And then there's your humble correspondent on this First Amendment Freestyle Friday. You can also get your questions in on the membersnutrition.com super text line, 615-737-9986. Those questions regarding any and all legal matters from our man, Jay St. Clair, when we get him on the line, and I believe he is, will answer said same. In the meantime, there's this idea of a whistleblower out there. I understand that. Let me just say real quickly that if I'm ready, willing, and able to listen to any and all information with regard to ABC doing things they ought not to have done to give Kamala Harris a heads up. We have seen these types of things in the past. I believe it was Donna Brazile of ABC that was accused of giving Hillary Clinton the heads up on a number of different questions and topics with regard to the 2016 election cycle and her debate between Hillary and Donald Trump. It would not surprise me whatsoever if they tried to tilt the scale in the favor of Kamala Harris in some form or fashion. It's one thing to say it. It's one thing to think it. It's one thing to prove it. I think most of us believe that there was a lot of shenanigans that went on in the 2020 election cycle, but there was precious little proof that there was vote flipping or vote switching, at least as far as we could find after the fact. You got to catch these things before the fact or while they happen. And so I'm not one to, well, let's put it this way. I'm ready, I'm willing, and I'm able to absorb this information and to bring it to you, the people of Middle Tennessee. But I need to see it before I just say that it's so. Do I believe it? I absolutely believe that ABC was in the bag for Kamala Harris. How that manifested itself on the night in question remains to be seen. Remains to be seen. But we're watching and we're listening and we're sleuthing and we're digging, and we'll continue to do that until they make us stop. In the meantime, it's 10 minutes after the hour on this Friday edition of the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I will point to Bell K in mere seconds, and Friday will become Friday. Well, it's not morning, but it is Friday on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Our good friend, life consultant, legal correspondent, my best buddy and gambling partner, his name is Jay St. Clair, and he joins us on the show on this Friday edition. Hello, Jay.
Hey, man. How you doing, buddy?
I'm great. Jay, the bigger question is, how are you?
You know, if I were any better, I would be Juan Pablo Montoya.
Huh. Now, see, I would have spent a month of Sundays guessing, and I never would have come up with that one. What's going on in his world?
Well, he will be driving in the Cup race this weekend at Watkins Glen.
Oh, okay. All right.
And for those who don't know, Juan Pablo Montoya is a world-class race car driver. He won the Indianapolis 500 twice. He, I think, was a Formula One champion. But he came over and tried NASCAR for several years. He won 2 races.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's tough. It's tough.
It is.
So it'll be fun. You know, he's coming up, and you know who hired him to drive his car?
I do not.
Michael Jordan.
Who's he replacing?
Oh, it's an extra car.
Oh, okay. So they're throwing an extra car on the. Oh, okay. I like it. I dig that. That's pretty cool. Do you know now? This is a little. I'm asking a deep dive question, Jay. But I know I'm into it and you're into it. And for those listening who are into racing, open wheel or otherwise, NASCAR, has Michael Jordan come to his company, have they come to a conclusion about that? Because they were refusing to sign their charter, weren't they?
I don't think they signed it yet, so I don't. There's not been a lot of press about the details of that stuff, man. I mean, they're going to get the race this weekend. I guess the deal is really for next year. So now there's not been any announcement that an agreement has been reached with his team in NASCAR. But it's all very kind of cloak and dagger. And so, there's a lot of money involved. I think those charters are worth like $30 million. And they got 2 of them. So, no, it's still up in the air.
Well, I'm very curious to see what happens from this. And I have not studied this. I've not dug deep on it, but I saw it last week. And I thought to myself, well, this is interesting because NASCAR is they pride themselves on being the judge, jury, and executioner when it comes to their rules and how they do their business, right?
Right. Exactly.
It's their show.
No, it's their show.
It's their show. But it's a little different with Jordan's brand because they have worked, and I'm just going to say that they have worked to diversify the listening and viewing audience of their product.
No question about it. They're going to Mexico next year.
Yeah, that's right. And Michael Jordan is a big part of that. And so I think if this were Rick Hendrick complaining about a charter, it'd be one thing. And I'm not saying that Jordan has more power or more ability to change things than anybody else, but it's just a different dynamic considering how they've attempted to get younger and different types of eyeballs on the product that they present.
No, it's very well said. I was not clever enough to think about that. You said that exactly right. It's the whole calculus is different.
Can I ask a confused listener question real quick?
Yeah.
What is a racing charter?
Oh, well, I guess we need to back up, Jay. Explain racing charters to folks who don't know.
Yeah, so what NASCAR did a few years ago is they came up with this idea of charter systems to compete in the Cup Series, the highest level of the sport. You must have a charter, and you have to buy that. And I think NASCAR sold them originally, I don't know, let's say $5 million, Bill. Well, there is a limited number. There's 38 of them. And so the price is going up, and teams can sell them to other teams. Tony Stewart is disbanding his team, and he has a couple of charters for sale. He's going to get $60 million. Well, NASCAR rewrote the charter agreement, and, they hadn't really given the details about that. I can guarantee you what it involves, though, Bill. I have zero doubt about this. It involves money. It involves Benjamins. And probably more Benjamins going to NASCAR than the owners. And so a lot of them were upset about it. But if they want to play in the game, they have to sign the deal.
So this effectively limits how many teams they can have in the system?
And how the money is divided between NASCAR and the teams. Yes, you have to have a charter to get in, even into a race. But then once you get there, the charter decides how the money is split up.
That sounds like some socialism to me.
Well, and I wanted to ask Jay just generally what he thought of the charter system, because I haven't thought that deeply about it, Jay. I admit that. But as we talk about it, I don't think I like it. I think it takes away from, Jimmy Smut Means.
Yep.
Is a name that old school racing fans might recall. You introduced me to Jimmy Smut Means.
Well, we had him on radio.
We got him. That's right. And I guess, would a charter be comparable to being the owner of an NFL team, that you have to abide by the rules of the NFL and the league itself? Actually,
that's a perfect analogy. You can't just start a football team, Bill, and then say, okay, I'm in the NFL. Schedule me in. No, you have to be let in by the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And you either do that by buying somebody else's team, or you getting the NFL's permission to start a new team. You can't just show up with a team and say, okay, I'm here to play in the NFL. Put me on the schedule.
So if NASCAR wants to increase the size of the teams, they just say, hey, we got a couple more charters to sell.
Yep.
Well, there was a time. Why did they shrink the field, JT? Wasn't it 43 for a little bit?
Yeah, the market shrank. Just look at the grandstands, man.
Mm-hmm.
The car count went down.
Right.
For the longest time, they had 42. There were 42 spots plus a past champions provisional, but they didn't reduce it. The cars quit showing up. You remember the way that first started with the start in park.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if I have to cut a check for $25 million to be, isn't that kind of a? I mean, that entire concept is going to lead to fewer cars to begin with, wouldn't it?
Right.
I would think.
But what I'm saying is the fewer cars came first. And so then NASCAR said, oh, okay, well, if we're not going to have 42 cars anymore, we only got 38, then, it's not working. We need to do something different. And they, together with the team, somehow thought this charter thing would work because now the teams have something that's valuable, they can sell. But also NASCAR can just come in and renegotiate the deals. I mean, let's say right now the money gets split 50-50. Well, NASCAR can say, no, now we're getting 60 and you're getting 40.
So Sally has written in on the super text line, and by the way, you can get any question about either NASCAR or legal matters in on the super text line, 615-737-9986. Sally says, so basically the NASCAR charter is to keep out teams with less money?
Well, that's that effect. I don't know if that was the intent, but there won't be any more Jimmy Means running in Cup.
And for those who don't know, Jimmy Means was a self-funded deal, right? I mean, he owned his own cars, he drove his own cars.
Yep. Those are dinosaurs. Those people are well. You know who owns his? Well, I guess he didn't own his own car. The only guy that can afford the closest to that right now, Denny Hamlin.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, because he has partial ownership of the Michael Jordan racing team. He drives for Gibbs. It's a little confusing. He still drives for Joe Gibbs, but he owns his own team. And what is it, 2311 Racing, I guess it is.
But here's the view from 50,000 feet. The appeal of NASCAR is shrinking. Their market share is shrinking. They're tearing down grandstands at racetracks, man. And so they've got to do something to change their model, and this is what they've done. And now they're tinkering with it a little bit. And my guess, it's all about money. We don't know the specifics of it. They strong-armed the other people. They asked Richard Childress about it, and he said, well, I hated it, but I didn't have a choice. But
I don't know. And look, I mean, the next time I start a racing organization will be the first time that I start a racing organization. So I'm not one to question it, but it just occurs to me that you rebuild your brand and you rebuild your audience base by building local participation in the sport. I would think. I mean, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that world is gone. Maybe the world of folk. I mean, maybe the world of filling a grandstand at Nashville Fairground Speedway is over. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, so much of the money now is TV.
Yeah, that's true.
The gate's really not that big of a deal.
Well, but I'm talking about interest. I'm talking about interest in racing. I mean, and the more millionaires and gajillionaires are involved in it, and the less, I just feel like the less Jimmy Means that we see, the further away it gets it from how it grew originally. And maybe this is just me being an old man on a front porch lamenting the way it used to be. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, and we ain't going back. I'll tell you that.
I agree with that.
That's the sad reality. All right, Jay, we'll get to some legal questions in just a moment as we visit with our good friend, legal correspondent, life consultant, and gambling buddy, Jay St. Clair. A lot of conversation, man, oh man, more than I thought we would get about the NASCAR charter system. You can't complain about NASCAR being about money and be a fan of capitalism. Well, sure I can. Sure I can. I just did. 4515 says NASCAR died with Dale Earnhardt and his accident. No, it actually didn't. It is continuing this weekend, and it will continue. Maybe it died for you, but I don't know that it died for everyone. Certainly not me. 22 after the hour. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for Men of Valor. October 1st is a big date for Men of Valor as they are welcoming Tim Tebow into the state of Tennessee, and I absolutely love it. It should be a big time, a fun time had by everyone involved. If you want more information on that, I encourage you to go over to movministry.com. That's movministry.com. Two opportunities to see Tim in the state of Tennessee. One on October 1st, right here in Nashville at Rocketown, 4th Avenue South, and the other in Knoxville at the Press Room. That is at 730 North Broadway in Knoxville, Tennessee. That's October 2nd. So the first, that Tuesday event will be at 5:30. The 2nd of October, he'll be in Knoxville also at 5:30. And you're invited to the first annual Men of Valor Fall Gala with special guest Tim Tebow. You can find out more at movministry.com and find out more about Men of Valor and the wonderful organization that they truly are. They open their hearts to men who are in peril, who are in crisis, and who have found themselves incarcerated, and they turn that recidivism around, and they create good men that can be contributing members to our society. It's what they do. It's their mission statement, and they need volunteers. They need volunteers like you. Go to movministry.com.
All students and staff are safe after a stabbing at a high school in Middle Tennessee today. We'll tell you about it at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you much, Mr. Ken Weaver. Ken Weaver over in the newsroom. Matt Murphy in our studios here right at the dead end of Music Row on Super Talk 99.7 WTN in beautiful Music City where it's not raining a bit right now. But the waves are coming, we're told. The waves of rain should be here any second now.
They'll bring a kraken.
Sure. And let's. Jay St. Clair is with us. Fry J in progress. A lot of conversation on the super text line about this conversation regarding charters. I want to ask you, and I've got several legal questions on the docket, but I want to ask you this, Jay. Just your thoughts on this, because I was thinking about this during the break. You got me thinking about the world that we live in now. I don't think that it's. I think NASCAR is almost in a box. I think racing generally is having such a difficult time because I just think the world has changed from the one that we grew up in. When I grew up, I understood engines in as much as my grandfather could explain them to me. I understood different cars and different car manufacturers and different brands. I don't think there's brand loyalty anymore. And I just think a lot of it is the world has changed around NASCAR. NASCAR is doing its best to keep up, as with all motorsports. Does that make sense to you?
Oh, it does. And I guess I view it more kind of they're in the entertainment business, right? They're entertainers. And in the heyday, the 60s, 70s, maybe a little bit of the 80s, there weren't as many entertainment choices, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot more entertainment choices now. And so to compete, I think there's still maybe their TV draw is maybe equal to the NFL. But there's, the competition for eyeballs is just so much greater now. And I do think the product has suffered. I think what made NASCAR so popular during its heyday were the personalities. The David Pearson and Dale Earnhardt and Darrell Waltrip.
Cale Yarborough. Yeah.
Yeah, they were larger than life and all these rivalry. It's kind of like wrestling, right? You had the good guy and the bad guy, and you got to have that to make it interesting. And every so often the bad guy wins, and it was the big personalities. Well, that's gone. It's gone out of golf. Same thing. I couldn't tell you the last time I watched professional golf on TV. They're all a bunch of robots, except for Bryson DeChambeau and the videos that he makes that one. I watched those.
Yeah. Oh, Donald Trump and Bryson were something else. I guess there's something to be said for that. But they also try to have it both ways. They did the have at it boys a few years ago.
Right.
And then the boys started having at it, and then they shut that all down.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
In the interest of safety and for some legitimate reasons. But no, I would agree with you that, and maybe it was just a different time. 0388 reminds us of Sterling Marlin. He said, I get it. I mean, there were a lot of personalities back in the Darrell Waltrip.
Talking about that guy from Columbia, Tennessee. Right?
I might be the only one that gets that reference, but I get that reference. All right, I get it. Hold on, Jay. We're going to get back to legal matters in a moment. Your legal questions coming up right after the news with Ken Weaver on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
1:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast in 5 minutes, but right now in Tennessee, all students and staff are safe after a stabbing at a high school in Murfreesboro today. This happened at Oakland High School. Principal John Marshall said in a statement one student assaulted another over a prior incident. He said one student was arrested, did not detail the extent of the injury to the other student. Sources confirmed to ABC News the U.S. government is preparing to file criminal charges targeting Iranian hackers for their part in theft of Trump campaign documents earlier this summer. Here's Catherine Falders.
There was a hack of the Trump campaign emails. So senior officials on the Trump campaign, one of whom we reported was Susie Wiles, one of the co-chairs of the campaign. Their emails were allegedly hacked by the Iranians. The Iranians gained access to information, including vetting documents that the campaign was using to vet Trump's potential VP nominees. So that was vetting documents of Rubio, Doug Burgum, and, of course, J.D. Vance.
Here in Tennessee, we're monitoring reports of children being hospitalized after contracting possible mosquito-borne diseases. WVLT-TV reports an 11-year-old Sevierville girl went nearly a week in the hospital for symptoms her mother says she started showing while on vacation in South Carolina, like struggling to do routine things like eat, communicate clearly, and extreme sensitivity to light. Then at the end of last month, WATE in Knoxville reported 6 children in Knox County had been hospitalized within the past 9 weeks at the time with what is called the lacrosse virus. And no more one of a kind, no more one kind. Let me get this right. No more of one kind of cold cut at the center of a widespread listeria outbreak. Here's Sherry Preston.
Boar's Head pulled liverwurst and many other kinds of sliced deli meat from store shelves since a listeria outbreak this summer sickened dozens of people, killing 9 of them. Now it's discontinuing liverwurst altogether. The company's also indefinitely closing the Virginia plant linked to the spread of the bacteria, meaning 500 workers will either lose their jobs and receive severance or be relocated.
That is the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Education is so important in all aspects of our lives, especially when it comes to our finances. Investing isn't like anything else you do. Paul Winkler has taught me that. Paul Winkler believes in education first and foremost. Education like, for example, on annuities. Have you an idea of what annuities are and why they might not be for you? And maybe they might be for you. Well, Paul can answer these questions for you when you make the call that so many others have made to Paul Winkler. There are 10 separate offices to serve you, so you can sit down right in front of him and talk with Paul and his team. You can also give them a call for a 15-minute consultation. They will talk with you about your goals, your aspirations, your dreams, and they will act as a fiduciary toward those goals and aspirations. In other words, they're never going to do anything that they do not believe is in your best interest, and they never work on commission at Paul Winkler. Never, ever, ever. Only a small fraction of the people in the financial industry are degreed planners. You'll find one in every office at Paul Winkler. PaulWinkler.com. That's PaulWinkler.com or 615-851-1950. 851-1950. Call Paul and tell him Matt Murphy sent you today. It's funny the memories that you have as a child versus the reality of understanding what was really going on as an adult. You know, we're talking about NASCAR and my experience with NASCAR as a kid. And for some reason, Jay, and the redheaded stranger has written in, that's what I call Pamela Furr, and she says Cale Yarborough was her favorite as a kid. And for some reason, I don't know why this was. I guess it was because of the Allison gang. When I was a boy and you would see races in the early 1980s on television, I thought of Cale Yarborough as a Yankee. And I don't know why.
Well, South Carolina.
You know what I mean? I mean, I guess because the Allison boys were so down home and you know, you kind of vaguely knew of the rivalry between the two groups. And I don't know. I just, for some reason, I thought of him as and he drove the Hardee's car, too. And I still thought of him as a Yankee.
Well, I thought Sterling Marlin was from East Tennessee.
Well, several people have brought up, is it Cuckoo? His dad was Cuckoo, right?
Right, Cuckoo Marlin. Yep.
And, man, a lot of people bringing up names. Tim Richmond, one of the best drivers ever.
Yeah. Now, you talk about a personality. Golly. And I think it was Cale Yarborough that gave Darrell Walter the nickname Jaws. It was right when the Jaws movie came out. And, you know, Walter would always run his mouth.
Because he wouldn't be quiet. That's right. Let's see. Several questions coming up on the Super Talk, membersnutrition.com super text line of a legal nature. This one comes in. Could you ask Jay if he ever wore his racing helmet in a courtroom? I don't think you've ever worn that Hans device in a courtroom.
I'm very respectful, and no, there's a couple of times I probably wished I had it on. I never got put in jail, but Judge Clement got real close one time. He was known for doing that. They have these little places where they hold prisoners when they're coming in to the courtroom, you know, because they handle criminal cases too. And he had several lawyers locked up. And everybody always said, are you going to Judge Clement's court? Yep. Better take your toothbrush.
Because he would just, if he didn't like, was that contempt of court?
Around line, he'd just say, bailiff, lock him up.
Whoa.
For about an hour.
Get your mind. That's called getting your mind right. All right.
Look, you got your mind right.
3887 writes in and says, legal question. I have 25-year-old non-violent felonies. No charges since.
Right.
And I would like to see my gun and voting rights restored.
Yep. I get
the online information is very confusing. Is there any chance y'all know where I can start? Expungement, certificate of restoration, pardon, Bueller, he says.
Yeah, you're not going to like this answer, but I absolutely can tell you where to start because you've already been, you know, everybody's a lawyer now, right? They can go on the internet and practice law. But you've learned this yourself. The way you start to get a felony expunged from your record is to hire a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that hard. It's that hard and it's that complicated. And it's just something that you need a lawyer to help you with. I'm sorry. I wish that it was easier. But my duty is to tell you the truth. You just got to get a lawyer.
Well, that's right. And if these things matter to you, you're going to have to spend a little bit of money. And, you know, right. And I hate that for you, but that's good advice. Any other advice from a legal perspective? 615-737-9986. Jay, it looks as if Donald Trump lost 2 of the charges against him in Georgia. I guess that case isn't going very right. I don't think any of these cases, we've talked about this for months and months and months. But as we look at some of these cases, I mean, none of them are going anywhere before the election, and that would indicate to me that they're not going anywhere.
Well, that's right. I mean, it'll be real interesting to see after that. But before we continue this conversation, I was hoping I'd get a chance to answer this question. I didn't watch the debate. You know, I don't do that kind of stuff. Did she at any point bring up his convictions?
Yes.
Okay.
She brought up the felony convictions. Yes.
Okay. I just wondered, but didn't make a big deal about it. I mean, I think they're learning that all that has really kind of backfired on them.
Yeah. I mean, I think if my memory serves me correctly, and I was watching with a group of about 300 people, so it's a little bit difficult for me to say, but I think I remember that correctly, that she did bring up the fact that he had 34 convictions again, but it was only once, and they didn't really harp on it that much because I think you're right, Jay. I think that has kind of boomeranged on them.
No, I agree with you. And no, none of the other cases, the other three cases, will not get decided before the election, but it'll be really interesting afterwards. And of course, it all depends on whether he wins or not. If he wins, then his attorney general can dismiss the two federal cases. Well, one of them's already been dismissed, but it's on appeal. But so he will then be in charge of those cases. And then the Georgia case, they cannot try a sitting president, so it'll be put on ice until his term is over. But now the more interesting thing is what happens if he loses.
Mm-hmm.
Will they continue with those cases? Because I've said all along the sole reason for these cases is to keep him from being president. Well, if he loses the race, will they continue? But see, they almost can't drop him then, Matt, because then it will just be painfully obvious that it was their only purpose was election interference.
Well, I don't think they'll drop them, and I think there's a couple of reasons for that. You just named one. The other, I think that TDS is real, and I think they want to extract a pound of flesh. I don't think they'll stop at him losing the election. I think they'll go a few steps further. And I believe this, Jay, and some might disagree with me, but I believe it would be a message to anyone else that would try to challenge the deep state bureaucracy. I believe that. I believe that they would be trying to send a message that this is what happens to people that try to work exterior of the process that we've set up in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, public hanging.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. We're going to hang them in public so everybody can see, watch them swing. Let's see. What is the average cost to get an old record expunged? That's a difficult question, but
yeah. But I was going to say that earlier. I would think it shouldn't cost more than $5,000. That'd just be my estimate. It's hard to give an exact number because lawyers just charge by the hour. That's like asking, well, how much is it going to cost to get my air conditioner fixed? Well, all air conditioners are the same.
That's right. That's right. Not all situations are the same.
$500, and sometimes it costs $10,000. But the budget, if I were going into that, the budget I would set for that is $5,000. Here's the way I ought to be saying this. Would it be worth $5,000 for you to get that done? If it wouldn't be worth $5,000, then I wouldn't hire a lawyer to do it. But if it would be worth it for you, then I would hire a lawyer.
I got it. Yeah, that makes sense. 2305 writes in, legal question for Jay. I want to start my own business in the same industry that I'm employed in, and I have a non-compete.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. That's I guess what they're asking is, are they going to be in violation? Does it matter the specific terms of the non-compete, I would guess?
No, it would, but you will almost certainly be in violation of the non-compete. I'd have to look at the document, but I suspect the document prevents you from engaging in the same industry, maybe within the same geographic area. So you'll almost certainly be in violation of it. And they'll probably come after you, depending on how successful your business is. Non-competes, in my experience, are really pretty hard to enforce. Nobody likes non-competes. And Matt, I've been involved in a lot of cases involving non-competes. The problem is it's expensive to fight about it. I mean, you can very quickly get $50,000, very quickly. Because a lot of it is done on a compressed time frame. But I look at the agreement, but I'd be shocked. I mean, if the agreement doesn't prevent you from doing that, then they have a really crappy lawyer. We've still got this Federal Trade Commission rule floating around out there. It's been enjoined. And so I don't think it's going to take effect, right away. But, that's something you're going to have to deal with. The fact that you're doing a startup company as opposed to joining an already existing competitor makes no difference. Makes no difference at all. If that's your question, it makes no difference. Because if you're competing, you're competing. Whether it's with a currently existing competitor or a company you started.
Well, it has been my experience regarding non-competes, particularly in our industry in the radio business, but more broadly, that while they oftentimes can be defeated in a court, like you said, Jay, it's expensive to do that. And more often than not, it prevents other companies from approaching you to begin with.
That's exactly right. There is a interim effect. I always like to use a little Latin here around. And it just kind of terrorizes people, and companies don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
I get calls like that a lot, man. People will send me a non-compete and say, hey, we're thinking about hiring this guy, but he's got a non-compete. Take a look at it and tell me what you think. And if I say to them, well, yeah, it might be, could be, then a lot of times we'll say, well, we're not going to run that risk.
Right. I mean, is the answer oftentimes, and I'm not asking you to get necessarily in specifics, but I would feel like knowing you the way that I do, the answer oftentimes is, how bad do you want him? Or her,
well, that's
right?
I'll say, yeah, there is a risk here, but if this guy's bringing you $1 million worth of business, then that may be a risk you're willing to bear.
Right.
Although I'll tell you this, I was sent, this happened to me one time. Somebody sent me a non-compete or issue about it and said, what do you think? And I wrote them back and said, I've been practicing all 40 years, man. Lawyers are very risk averse, right? We don't want to be proven wrong. And so the easy thing to do is to say, yeah, you might lose. This is the only time in my 40-year career, man, where I wrote back to this person and said, this is a clean kill. You have 0% chance of losing this case. I've never said that before, probably never say it again, but I did, and that case was not even filed.
Pretty good. All right, final question for you. I own not me, but this is 1148 talking. I own an auto body shop. After completing repairs for a claimant that was hit by the other at-fault driver, the at-fault driver's insurance did not pay for all of the repairs. The customer filed a lawsuit against me for unnecessary repairs because the insurance denied the items and didn't pay the full bill due. I repaired the vehicle for the owner since the owner is the only one that can authorize repairs, not the insurance company. Is the insurer not responsible for making them whole? The unpaid items are listed as not included operations in estimate system procedure pages and are frequently paid by other companies. So this auto shop body, I think our auto body shop wants to go after some money. Do they go after the insurance company?
I get it. Your relationship, your commercial relationship is with the owner of the car. I'm pretty sure. Maybe not. Who hired you? Did the insurance company hire you, or did he hire you?
Mm-hmm.
I'm guessing that he hired you because it's the other person's car, or the other person's insurance. So the guy that came in and said, "I want you to fix my car," he's the one that's responsible for paying the bill, and then he's got to go get the money from the other guy's insurance company. You don't have a direct relationship with the other person's insurance company. Now, yes, in the real world, that typically, that the insurance company is responsible for it, but they have that responsibility to you. They have it to this guy, or it's really the other driver that has it. The insurance company's just standing behind him. So if this guy has sued you for doing work that he did not authorize, sounds like that's what's happening, then you already get sued, then just counter sue in the same when you answer the lawsuit, and then just say, no, you did authorize the work, and you owe me for that work. I mean, the person you got to go after is the owner of the car, not the other person's insurance company. So I've been clear, man.
Yep. No, it's a perfectly clear. No, sounds good. Sounds good. All right, 52 after the hour. That wraps it up for another edition of Fry Jay. Before I go, John in Lawrenceburg wants you to know, Jay, go Vols. I'm just repeating what the man says. I'm not supporting that statement. I'm just repeating it to you from John in Lawrenceburg.
John, I appreciate it, buddy. You know, this won't be easy. Well, next week's the real test.
Well, they all start getting tricky as the season goes on. Jay, love you, brothers. Talk to you soon, friend.
See you, buddy.
All right, man. There's Jay St. Clair, 53 after the hour on Super Talk. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for Tennessee Men's Clinic. Gentlemen, are you feeling sluggish, run down, low energy, low motivation, low drive? Do you feel like you have a low libido right now? Well, if any of these things feel like you, it's time to get with the Tennessee Men's Clinic and let's get right again. Guys, what if I told you a visit to Tennessee Men's Clinic could make you better? It could get you an answer to why you're feeling run down and low energy, or why there might not be motivation in the bedroom activity department, if you know what I'm saying. Low T treatments can truly change your life. Men experience higher energy, better gains at the gym, better mental clarity, improved sleep patterns, and yes, you might notice increased libido. Tennessee Men's Clinic successfully treated thousands, if not tens of thousands of men right in our area, and now they have 2 locations to serve you. One's in Franklin and the other in Midtown Nashville. For over 10 years, they have specialized in men's health care. They reinvented men's health care 10 years ago. Call 615-208-9090 for more information. That's 208-9090, or go online to TennesseeMen'sClinic.com. Once again, it's TennesseeMen'sClinic.com.
2 o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. And right now, Williamson County. That's where TBI says one of its most wanted fugitives may have been spotted recently. Michael Van Dobbs, wanted for allegedly killing a man in Murray County, may be in the area of Natchez Trace Trail, possibly spotted near the Garrison Creek trailhead wearing a maroon long-sleeve shirt, black shorts, and slides. The TBI added that he walks with a distinct limp. He's 6 foot tall, weighs 240 pounds, got blue eyes and blonde hair. Election 2024, President Biden, speaking at the Black Excellent event at the White House, mentioned claims by former President Trump and others about Haitian immigrants allegedly stealing pets and eating them in Springfield, Ohio.
Simply wrong. There's no place in America. This has to stop. What he's doing. It has to stop.
Meanwhile, former President Trump speaking to reporters in California.
We're going to have the largest deportation in the history of our country, and we're going to start with Springfield and Aurora.
Aurora, Colorado police arresting 10 alleged members of Tren de Aragua, a large criminal organization from Venezuela, for various offenses, including first-degree assault, aggravated assault, shootings, a hit-and-run crash, domestic dispute, other instances of assault. This according to a Facebook post shared by the department yesterday. Sources confirming to ABC News the U.S. government preparing to file criminal charges targeting Iranian hackers for their part in the theft of Trump campaign documents earlier this summer. And former NFL players are urging Tua Tagovailoa to retire after another concussion last night. It's his third in his short NFL career. Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel was asked about it this morning.
It would be so wrong of me to even sniff that subject, and it's more in line of actually caring about the human being.
Well, Hall of Famer Shannon Sharp says Tagovailoa should, quote, shut it down, writing his concussions are getting worse and worse, and he's a young man with his entire life ahead of him. Justin Timberlake today pleading guilty to a traffic infraction, driving while ability impaired, to help resolve a drunk driving case in Sag Harbor, New York, where he was stopped in June for running a stop sign and failing to stay in his lane. Here's Timberlake speaking after his appearance there in Sag Harbor Village Court.
What I'd like to say to everyone watching and listening, even if you've had one drink, don't get behind the wheel of a car.
The judge ordered Timberlake to pay a fine and perform community service. Timberlake also agreed to appear in a public service announcement about the dangers of drunk driving. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Have you lost a little of your hearing? Has it been going slowly but surely over the last several years? Well, this is not an issue that's going away on its own. And if you've noticed that you have difficulty hearing conversation when there's background noise, I encourage you to call our doctors of audiology at Brentwood Hearing Center. They are committed to providing patients with the most recent hearing device technology, and right now they're proud to announce to you their Phonak Sphere technology. It is the launch of a revolutionary new hearing aid dedicated to helping patients hear well in situations where there is extensive background noise, like, I don't know, at a ball game or at a big gathering of people watching a debate, for example, earlier in the week. Whether it's out with friends or meeting with clients at a cocktail party, if you've noticed that you can't hear due to background noise, let's get with our friends at Brentwood Hearing Center and find out if the Phonak Sphere is right for you. They can help demonstrate the technology to you and make sure that it is a good fit for you. Brentwood Hearing Center, call them today at 615-377-0420. That's 377-0420, or visit them online at BrentwoodHearingCenter.com. Better hearing for a better life at our friends at Brentwood Hearing Center. Just announced, I'm looking at a headline here on monitor number 2. Harris team draws up a new strategy. The campaign chair warns there's no path to 270 electoral votes. You know, as much as the mainstream media tried to make hay while the sun shined with regard to her better performance during the debate than her predecessor in that campaign chair, that would be Joe Biden. So, Joe Biden goes and just absolutely falls on his face during his debate on June 27th. Kamala Harris did not fall on her face earlier in the week, regardless of what you feel about her or her political stand on a variety of different issues, or the flippy-flop that she has done since a few years ago. She did not fall over herself. She did not engage in word salads, as we have heard over the years with Kamala Harris. In that sense, it was a relative success for Kamala Harris and her team. However, this does not change the dynamic of what the polls demonstrate. And in swing states like Pennsylvania, in swing states like Georgia, in swing states like Arizona, it still remains to be seen whether she can move the needle with regard to the votes that she needs to move in order to accomplish her goal of getting to that 270 electoral vote margin. In the meantime, speaking of the presidential election, we don't talk a lot of religion on my show. And obviously, a lot of things that we do discuss with regard to politics creates a dynamic by which we lean on our faith in order to inform us how we feel about certain things. And I'm not here to call anyone out, and I'm certainly not here to draw attention to anyone's particular religious faith, but I wonder if we have any Catholics in the audience. And if so, well, really, it doesn't matter if you're Catholic or not. I'd be curious as to your position on this. But Catholics most curious. I'm most curious where Catholic people would be on this issue. And this is the one I'm talking about. Pope Francis has made a few comments today regarding the presidential contest between Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris. He criticized both the former president and the current vice president over what he described as their, quote, anti-life policy, and urged American Catholics to vote for the, quote, lesser evil in November. Francis reportedly told journalists during a press conference aboard his papal plane, both are against life. Be it the one who kicks out migrants or the one who supports killing babies. Both are against life, he said. Francis did not refer to Harris or Trump by name, though he seemed to be criticizing Harris for her pro-abortion stance and Donald Trump for his anti-illegal immigration stance. making the argument, Pope Francis said, that the scripture informs that migration is a right and that anyone who doesn't welcome a stranger is committing a, quote, grave sin. In 2016, Francis said Trump's plan to build a border wall was, quote, not Christian. Trump has said that he plans to implement a larger mass deportation with regard to those that have come into the country illegally over the last several years. And the story that I'm reading from here on the Pope Francis commentary then goes on to refer to the refugee program to prohibit entry from Muslim-majority nations. That was obviously in the aftermath of terroristic acts. During the first presidential debate matchup between Trump and Harris, and perhaps the only one, the former president accused Harris of allowing millions of people to enter the United States from prisons and jails, mental institutions, and insane asylums. All of those things are true, by the way. Meanwhile, Francis said Friday that to have an abortion is to kill a human being. You may like the word or not, but it is killing. We have to see this clearly. Harris, of course, if elected, wants to pass legislation that would allow and protect abortion nationwide. Now, Francis finally went on to say, one should vote and choose the lesser evil. Who is the lesser evil? The woman or the man? I don't know. Everyone in their conscience should think and do it. In other words, Pope Francis didn't tell Catholics anything. Anything. I mean, he's asked to help inform American Catholics which direction that they should go in. One guy brought the idea of less abortions to the table through his Supreme Court nominees and selections. And that eventually led to the dismantling of Roe v. Wade, which ultimately allowed for abortion practices across the United States of America without regard for how the general population of Tennessee or any other state for that matter might feel on it. Now, here's where I get real crossways with the Pope. Where does the Pope live? I mean, I'm wondering about the Vatican's border policy. I'm worried about Vatican City's border policy. I wonder if migrants came to Vatican City, would they be allowed inside the Vatican? I'm wondering how many illegal aliens are in the Vatican right now. I'm wondering if they push illegal aliens away from the Vatican. And how in the hell, I mean, no offense to those of you who believe in Pope Francis, how do you jive these two concepts? That you tell me that it is not only ethically wrong, it is morally a sin to prevent illegal aliens from coming into the country. That it is morally a sin to create borders anywhere? So you don't want borders anywhere? It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Do you know what the Vatican is surrounded by?
Well, I think they're surrounded by a wall, Bell.
They are.
A big one.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the point. He argues that Scripture says migration is a right, and anyone who doesn't welcome a stranger is committing a grave sin. What, pray tell, would happen to someone who wants to get into the Vatican? They would be told no. It would be explained to them that security, I mean, you can't jive these two concepts. You can't tell me that you agree with the Pope with regard to migration and you also agree that there should be a border wall surrounding Vatican City, not allowing anyone on the outside in. But I'm not a Catholic. I'll defer to those who are to help me understand how these two concepts can mutually exist. Barry perhaps has a thought on this. He's in the borough. Hello, Barry. How are you?
Hello, Matt. I'm doing fine. Hope you're doing fine.
I'm doing well. Thank you. Well, thank you for calling and offering your perspective, sir.
Well, for me, I think the Pope's misled to a little bit, quite a bit. President Trump has said he's for immigration when it's done the right way, the legal way. Secondly, when you allow people to come across the border, you're setting them up to be mistreated. When you're not vetting who they are, you're allowing them to be mistreated. You're allowing children to be put under slavery of sex. criminals. You're allowing a lot of things. You're allowing them to work for a little bit of nothing. So when you come into the country the right way, you'll be guarded. To me, abortion is the bigger evil than sending the immigrants back to where they came from. If they come through the right way, everything's better. That's my opinion. And I am a Trump fan, and I am voting for Trump. Does that make sense?
Do Catholics, and this is a very personal question, Barry, I understand that, but my curiosity gets the better of me. Is there still a concept within the Catholic faith of the infallibility of the Pope?
Yes, there is, on faith and morals, on certain things that the Pope would say. But when the Pope gives his opinion on something, I don't have to follow it to the rule when it's just an opinion.
Gotcha.
If it was something on faith and morals that's real serious, yes. But to me, his opinion on that is probably not. He's thinking. To him, I guess he's got to take up for all immigrants and stuff. But for me, when you do something the wrong way, you're setting up to be hurt. Does that make sense?
No, it does. It does. And you answered the question asked, and it was a very personal one, and I appreciate you answering it. To me, there seems to be no moral equivalency between the taking of, for example, a 7-month-old baby out of the womb and killing that baby, which is permissible in many states around the country that allow for late-term abortions. And despite what Kamala Harris and the rest of ABC News wants to say about the matter, there are states that allow abortion up till the moment of birth and 9 months of pregnancy. There are. Minnesota's one of them. Tim Walz knows very well because he signed legislation certifying and recertifying that a woman has that right to terminate her pregnancy up until the moment of birth, up until the ninth month of pregnancy. There seems to be zero moral equivalency between that and telling certain migrants that they cannot go into certain areas, certain zones, certain nations, because those nations have a vetting process by which you allow them in. That vetting process is no different than the vetting process at Vatican City. It's my understanding that the Vatican City vetting process is extremely robust, much like one would go through to get into the White House. In order to get into the White House, to take a tour of the White House, you have to submit your information at least 21 days in advance. It has to filter through your individual congressman. It has to go through a background check. You have to present identification at the time that your scheduled appointment to tour the White House becomes available. I mean, all of these things are designed to protect the security of the White House. How is the security of the United States any different with regard to those coming across the southern border? It's ridiculous. Where does Italy stand on the issue of illegal immigration? Where does Vatican City stand on the issue of immigration or illegal immigration in this regard? 0396 says, I'm Catholic and I agree with you. I also want to mention how generous our country is and how much we give to other nations. Obviously, the United States of America is not the scourge of the earth by any definition, nor should we be considered so. Speaking of congressional representation, by the way, remember the story I was talking to you about before the show, Bell? Regarding our congressman?
Correct.
That story is now out in a publication. And
just curious, what publication?
Nashville Banner.
Oh, well, okay. Well, that was...
Is that legit?
Yes, that was the Tennessee's competitor in print before they went completely online.
The Nashville Banner did?
Yeah, it was. They've been gone as an actual newspaper for years now, but they were one of the two newspapers of note in this city. The Tennessean being the other one.
I hesitate to talk about this, but I'm wondering if it is impacting or affecting our 7th Congressional District Representative's ability to do his job. I don't know. I've got to figure out whether I want to talk about that or not. It is out. There's a story out regarding Mark Green, Representative Mark Green, and a personal matter involving his divorce. He has filed for divorce last month. And he's been married, according to his wife of 35 years, he's been married that length of time. She's attempted to reconcile with him. And the Republican congressman apparently wants no reconciliation. And his wife, Camilla Green, is now accusing her husband of a variety of things via an email that she sent out on blast all across Washington, D.C., like yesterday.
That's an odd form of reconciliation.
Well, I guess she figured that she's not going to get the reconciliation that she desired. So apparently, and this is a story just breaking in front of me, and I was asking Bell if he thought that there was merit in discussing this story, and I told him I felt like the story was about to break, but I was a little uncomfortable discussing it given the personal nature of the story. It involves their relationship. It involves their relationship breaking up of 35 years. It involves, obviously, their grown children. It involves another woman, according to Camilla Green. She's the one that has made it public. I don't know if that necessarily means that we should be talking about it. Sadly, I'm beginning to wonder whether or not it's impacting or affecting Mark Green's ability to serve the 7th Congressional District. Now, we haven't talked to him in months and months and months. I stopped trying because I would contact his people. I would ask if we could schedule him to come on to talk to the 7th Congressional District. We would never hear anything back, or I would be told no. I think that has been consistent across the board on Super Talk 99.7 WT. And I think Wilson has had more success in having Congressman Green on than anyone. But this is a story that just hit the headlines in the Nashville Banner. Expect the Tennessean to have a story up on it. Expect to see it quite a bit over the weekend with regard to the sad realization that there is a marriage ending between Mark Green and his wife, and her going public on some of the more sordid details regarding the reasons for their divorce. It's 22 after the hour on Super Talk. All right, so over the weekend, while the waves of rain are moving through Middle Tennessee, maybe you hit a pocket of dry air and you head on out to Savory Spice and grab yourself some delicious dry rub to put on your chicken or your chops or your burgers or your steak for your tailgate over the weekend. Oh, yeah, friends, it just makes food better. I mean, I love food. You guys have seen me on the Super Talk television side of things. You've seen me out and about at events. You probably know that I like to enjoy a delicious meal, and I love what Savory Spice brings to the table. They bring obviously all the salts and all the peppers and all of the typical spices and things that you keep in the cupboard. They have a better brand of spice than the other guys. Don't go to the grocery store and buy your spices. You're not buying high quality spices. You need to go to Savory Spice to get the same low prices and much better quality. Plus, they have things that the other guys don't. And they've got everything for tailgating season right there at Savory Spice. Plus, they're locally owned, and I love that. Holly and David, you'll meet them. You'll get to know them. They'll become a part of the family. Go by and see them at L&L Market in Nashville or just off the square in Franklin. I'm telling you, friends, you can up that food game by upping that spice game. And the one and only place to up that spice game is Savory Spice.
The Pope says both Trump and Harris, they're both wrong when it comes to abortion. We'll tell you about it at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I just, and thank you, Ken Weaver, for that. And thank you for those newscasts happening twice an hour and when it breaks. I mean, I don't see how you can. I mean, maybe this is the Pope not wanting to take a stand on where they obviously are with regard to this election cycle. But you've got one candidate that's promoting the ability for individual women to go into any state in the union and have an abortion at any time of their choosing. And she hides behind this Roe v. Wade provision, but that is not where they are as a party, and that is not where she is as a political platform. They will. You notice the questioner the other night, and I think it was the Davis lady with the big shoulder pads in her zoot suit or whatever the hell that. What? Did you see that, by the way, Bill? Did you see the outfit that Ms. Davis was wearing?
Extremely busy playing video games and drinking vodka.
You need to look that up. I mean, I wish I was there with you, by the way. Although I was having a good time. I was having a good time.
You were like, I got to go work. Whatever.
Yeah. She had these huge 1986 shoulder pads on. I mean, huge.
What's old is new again, baby.
I guess. I don't know. Maybe she's trying to bring them back. But they asked the question, well, do you support any restriction on abortion? And she said, and Kamala Harris said, I support bringing back Roe v. Wade well, no, you don't. Roe v. Wade disallowed a state from preventing abortion in the first trimester or the second trimester of said pregnancy. It said nothing about the third trimester. There are many states that allow for third trimester abortions. And you can call them rare all you want. They're not rare enough. And the Pope is creating this equivalency between abortion and migration, where there ought not to be any. Patricia is next up with a thought on this. Hello, Patricia. How are you?
Hi. I'm all shook up here.
Well,
I'm a true Catholic. I have been all my life. I love God with all my heart, soul, mind, and strength. And that's what we are supposed to do for each other. I believe the Pope is getting a little wishy-washy. And he has been in a lot of things lately. And forgive me, God, if I'm saying the wrong thing. But I do believe the person to vote for is Trump. I see a lot of goodness in what he's doing. I see through the things he are saying. I know he loves us. I know he does everything for the people of the United States and anyone else that comes into our country illegally. And as far as the other one, I'm sorry, but she is so opposite. She is unreal. I'm sorry. Will you please forgive me?
Patricia, God bless you. And God bless your heartfelt passion on this matter. Thank you for your call. I appreciate you so much. If I was there with you, I'd hug your neck right now, okay?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for even.
Well, I love your passion. I love that you saw fit to call us on this matter, and I appreciate that, and I can't add anything to it. Thank you for it. It is 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast in 5 minutes. And just a week after the Justice Department accused the Russian government of meddling in the 2024 U.S. elections, Secretary of State Antony Blinken today announcing new sanctions on 3 entities and 2 people, also revealing Russian broadcaster RT's reported role in the campaign.
Thanks to new information, much of which originates from RT employees. We know that RT possessed cyber capabilities and engaged in covert information and influence operations and military procurement.
And speaking to the media aboard his flight from Singapore, Pope Francis telling Catholics in the United States that both Kamala Harris and former President Trump are, quote, against life and to vote for whom he calls the lesser evil. The pontiff criticizing former President Trump for his migrant policy and criticizing Vice President Kamala Harris for her stance on abortion. Here in Tennessee, armed and dangerous man accused of criminal homicide may have been spotted in Williamson County, according to the TBI. Michael Van Dobbs possibly spotted near the Garrison Creek trailhead, wearing a maroon long-sleeve shirt, black shorts, and slides. The TBI added he walks with a distinct limp. Dobbs is suspected of killing Harold Grisham on September 4th in Murray County. The TBI added him to the most wanted list Monday, a $2,500 reward being offered for information leading to his arrest. He is 6 foot tall, weighs 240 pounds, blue eyes and blonde hair, and again, walks with a distinct limp. And Mount Juliet, Tennessee native NASA astronaut Butch Wilmore says the messages of support from people on Earth have been overwhelming.
Every time I talk to someone that we're praying for you. There's prayers coming up for me and Sonny both. Street signs, people we don't even know across the nation. Sonny and Butch, we're praying for you. Come on back. All those things. And I can tell you, it really goes a long way. And we so much appreciate it.
Butch Whitmore and Suni Williams launched to the space station on the Starliner in July, only expecting to stay for 8 days. But the capsule experienced problems with helium leaks and the thrusters. So NASA brought Starliner back empty, extending Butch and Suni's stay to 8 months. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
When it comes to talking about U.S. Pest, the obvious reason that we encourage you to contact U.S. Pest, to J.K., Erica, and the rest of the team, would be to eliminate pest from your home, from your property, because of what they bring with them. That would be diseases, that would be insect, and rodent-borne diseases. But bottom line is this: they are creepy, they are nasty, and you want to keep them out, and you don't want them taking that which is yours, your warmth, your AC, your food, whatever it might be. Full-service pest control available at U.S. Pest with a 100% money-back guarantee, plus termite protection, preventative and corrective services with a 100% money-back guarantee. Every home in Tennessee is threatened by termites, and you need to protect yourself. Plus, they offer crawl space service as well. U.S. Pest, they are the best in the business when it comes to protecting your home from the bugs that want to take it in and make it their own. Stop this with U.S. Pest. Give them a call today at 590-1260. That's 590-1260, or go online to uspest.com. That's uspest.com. When you call, tell them Matt Murphy sent you to the one and only U.S. Pest. Hello, friends. Matt Murphy for the Glock Store. Have you been thinking about a gathering or a party? Maybe you have a birthday or an anniversary coming up. Perhaps it's a celebration and a corporate team build. Whatever it might be, the Glock Store has a great place to party. And I know it might not be your first place to think about, but let's talk it out, right? Because they have a VIP room with a full kitchen available for you. It is adjacent to one of their incredible shooting rooms. They don't have lanes at the Glock Store. They have rooms, and they'll provide you a private instructor to help facilitate the party and all of the party atmosphere that comes with partying at the Glock Store. I mean, they're a great place to buy. They're a great place to learn. They're a great place to shoot. They're a great place to compete, and they are a great place to party. The Glock Store is my place to shoot and to party, and I would encourage you to do the same. Call for more details at the Glock Store today at 615-682-6565, 682-6565. Tell them Matt Murphy sent you to the Glock Store. Better yet, stop by this weekend and see the beautiful retail space that is the one and only Glock Store. All right, we have an update. It's a very difficult story to discuss in as much as it is an obvious personal story. And so I try to be as delicate with it as possible because I understand that, personal issues are just that, personal issues. I have no idea what's been going on within the marriage of Congressman Green. I don't know Congressman Green that well. However, it has become private, has become public because his wife of 2 years, I think that's right. No, maybe more than that, has, I'll pull the story back up here, has made it public and has sent a letter, apparently, an open letter to members of Congress and the wives of members of Congress, alerting them to what she considers to be a danger within Washington, D.C. circles involving partying and drinking and Satan. That is according to the wife of Congressman Mark Green, who claims that, once again, I'm not trying to delve too deeply into this. I just try to inform you. 35 years, by the way, is the number of years Congressman Mark Green and his wife Camilla have been married. She is accusing her husband of having an affair and is warning others, saying that she wanted to reconcile with him, but that he wanted nothing of it and insisted on a divorce. In the meantime, Mark Green has responded to the Nashville Banner. The Nashville Banner came out with this story earlier today. We saw where there was filing for a divorce several weeks ago, and I began hearing a couple of days ago that Congressman Green's wife was being very vocal within Washington, D.C. circles. Congressman Green has responded, saying, "This is a difficult time for my family and me. We are currently going through divorce proceedings. As this is a deeply private matter, I ask for privacy. I will continue to serve this district with all I've got as I have the last 5.5 years." That from Congressman Mark Green regarding the story out in the Nashville Banner today. In the meantime, we're discussing the Pope and where he is on the issue of abortion versus migration. With that in mind, let's talk to Rick in Nashville. Hello, Rick. Welcome in.
Hey, Matt. I appreciate you guys. Hey, so you're married, right? You have kids?
I do not have children, but I am married, yes.
Okay. Well, have you ever been around a woman who's 8 or 9 months pregnant?
I have.
Okay. My point is, women are emotional. I think the previous caller was a good example of that. And I just don't think, women who are 8 or 9 months pregnant, as emotional as they are, need to be making life and death decisions. Just not right.
Well, I think that decision, Rick, should be taken away from a woman at a certain point. I don't know of any reasonable, and I know you're kind of joking around about the emotions and the hormones that exist in a woman who is that pregnant. But it is, I'm not throwing cold water on it, but it's a very serious matter. I do not believe that reasonable people in this discussion should be on separate pages on this. There is some point where we say, no, you can't kill the baby. Right? So we all agree, all of us, every single one of us, no matter what your position on abortion is, all of us agree when a baby's born, you can't kill it, right? All of us agree on that, don't we? Well, how far do you roll that back? How far do you say we should go back to the point that a woman doesn't get to make that decision to kill the baby because they waited too long? 6695. Matt, are you saying Nashville Banner? Do you mean the Tennessean? No, I mean Nashville Banner, which is an online publication. I think I'm saying it correctly. I don't know a lot about Nashville Banner. Bell taught me more about the Nashville Banner than I ever knew just moments ago when he said that apparently they were a print publication, a competitor of the Tennessean, I guess, and they stopped print publication and they just do online exclusive publication, and they're the ones that have put out this story. I saw it on, well, I had a couple of people send it to me, and Matt, the Nashville Banner closed in 1998. I'm telling you, I'm looking, it's online. It's an online publication. There are a lot of online publications now. I don't know what to tell you. I'm looking at the founded April 10th, 1876, NashvilleBanner.com. So, Statman, I don't know what to tell you. I'm looking at the website right now. I'm on the website right now. I'm looking where they published the story earlier today about Congressman Mark Green. So, I don't know what else to tell you. Cynthia is at Duck River. Hey, Cynthia. Thank you for calling.
Hey, thanks a lot. First of all, I want to say that the Pope, we've already established that he is speaking from a place of hypocrisy because the Vatican is walled and protected by armed security. But moreover, he is incorrect in his assessment of what Jesus Christ came to do when he was on the earth. He did not come to assimilate everyone. He did not come to embrace everyone. He said, in fact, if you're my disciples and you follow me, you will be persecuted. In fact, I'm expecting you to live a particular way that is going to go against the grain of society. And for this, you will be persecuted. And he also took times of reprieve away from people because people are cray-cray, honey, and sometimes it just gets to be a little too much. Using the scripture to insist that we're to allow everybody and their grandmother and their dog to come across the border without any scrutiny, that is not scripturally sound. It sounds great from a pulpit. It sounds great from a pastor. I mean, it's great for filling seats and, getting people into the sanctuary. But that is not the gospel. That is not the scripture.
That's very well spoken, Cynthia. I thank you for the call, and I thank you for making the comment and the statement. It seems to be hypocritical on its face to me if the Vatican is wagging their finger or the Pope individually wagging his finger at us, and the Vatican, as far as I know, has a closed-the-door policy. Jason writes in and says, when crossing the border illegally, please bring your cats.
And bring your own. Don't eat mine.
Dalton is next up. Hey, Dalton. Thank you for calling.
Hey, Matt. I'm a big fan. I listen to you pretty much every day. With the Pope, I can't think of anything offhand scripturally that talks about immigration, but I do know in Romans 13, starting at verse 1, going through about verse 5, it talks about obeying your governing authorities, and when you go against your governing authorities, you're going against what God has established. So if you're coming here illegally, you're going against the governing authority. You're going against what God has set up and, enacting laws.
Well, yeah, I mean, the idea that you abide by the laws of man and by doing so, I mean, I get that concept. And without getting too religious in nature, it just seems hypocritical to me on its face that the Pope is, once again, I think the Pope is more than anything, and I'm not here to talk to Catholics like I know more about Catholicism than you do. I do not. And I probably know less from a theological standpoint about Catholicism than maybe I should at 51 years of age. But simply based on what he has said, it feels to me that the Pope is trying to stay out of the politics of the election by saying that there's certain moral equivalencies on both sides. He points to abortion on one side and immigration or migration on the other. This idea that in the world that we live in, that we should have open borders and allow anyone to come to the United States of America that wants to, well, the Pope is advocating for no countries. He's advocating for an open border policy around the globe that one would presume would include the Vatican. Well, I believe in a God that believes I have the ability to protect myself against foreign invasion or invasion by people that want to do me harm. Last I checked, I have several people offering their thoughts on the Pope on the super text line, and I would tend to agree with you, although I would not use that potty mouth, 2339. 615-737-9986. We'll wrap up, hand off to Brian Wilson in a moment, find out what's going on the drive right after this. Hey, Ken Weaver.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you've seen outside. I know you're over in the news closet.
Yeah.
We got a wave.
Yeah, I'm looking at right now. Heavy rain right now.
Uh-huh.
It's impacting folks on 440 right there before 65.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just a little dot of red and yellow.
I feel like we're in a scene from Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? We got some of that reform. We got us a wave. We got us a wave of rain. None in Mount Juliet, as far as I know so far.
I don't see any in Mount Juliet right now.
Yeah, well, they still canceled the yard sale, and now I got a bunch of crap in my garage, and I don't know what to do with it. Maybe Brian Wilson wants to buy some of my stuff.
I know I have too much stuff. You've seen my studio. You know that to be true.
Yes, sir.
No, that's the good stuff. Your studio is full of the good stuff. My garage is full of the bad stuff that we want to get rid of. Brian, what's coming up on the drive, man? What do you got in store for this Friday edition?
Listen, there still seems to be a lot of reverberations over the ABC debate and whether or not ABC had their thumb on the scale. I think most people who looked at it can come to the conclusion that, yes, ABC did fact-check Trump and did not fact-check anything that was offered by Kamala Harris. But now you're not going to believe who is suggesting that there be an internal investigation at ABC to find out exactly what they did. And we'll get all over that story right off the top. There is new information about the Butler assassination attempt. You're not going to believe again what senators said as they came out of a big meeting yesterday on Capitol Hill where they were briefed by the acting director of the Secret Service. I mean, it's pretty eye-opening stuff. And we'll talk about that. And then Springfield, Ohio continues to be the topic of a great deal of discussion. Forget the dogs, the cats, the ducks, and the geese. Let's talk about the fact that people are dying in Springfield, Ohio, as a result of this Haitian migrant influx.
Regardless of where you are on it and what evidence people are seeing online about it, my thing on it is, Brian, and I'm curious if you feel the same way, is for me, whatever we're talking about symptoms. The disease is this scourge of illegal immigration that's allowing people to bring their own cultural biases from their countries of origin into the United States of America without regard for our laws and the way that we do things around here.
I'm about half a mind to jump in the truck after the show and drive to Springfield, Ohio, and just find out for myself what the hell is going on there. But it doesn't sound good.
No. Let me ask you quickly in the minute that we have left, and I'm just going to ask this question generically. Over your years as a journalist and as someone who's done this for a long time, where do we cross a line between private matters when it becomes public? Because the Nashville Banner has a story out about one of our own congressmen, and I won't get into necessarily the details, but...
Yeah, that same story is in the New York Post today as well.
Is it really? And so, I mean, I report on it only in as much as there are other outlets reporting on it. Are we just kind of feeding the beast what should be a private situation amongst but at the same time, you offer yourself to public service, this type of thing might happen.
Well, I think in a campaign, it could be raised as a legitimate issue because, campaigns are sometimes about issues of character.
True.
But I think as a matter of a sitting congressman, and in case people don't know, we're talking about Mark Green, who is going through some kind of divorce with his wife, or at least is separated as best I can tell. And does it impact his professional job? I mean, does he do the job in a professional way, and has this at any way impacted his job? I think it's fair. Other than that, I tend to give those kind of things a pass.
Yeah, I mean, I try to as well because I don't want to get into the private matters of a personal situation that involves individuals that have no desire to be in the public limelight. One way or the other. Speaking of public limelights, we got him. Brian Wilson in the white hot spotlight coming up in mere seconds after Ken Weaver's newscast. Have a wonderful weekend, folks. Hope your team wins, unless your team is the Kentucky Wildcats. In that case, go Dogs. We're back on Monday. Until then.